Welcome to adilas. This tutorial is going to cover the expense receipts homepage, and this is where all of the money that's flowing out of the banks is tracked. And from the main switchboard homepage, if you come down under System Liabilities, you'll see the expense receipt homepage, or you can come over and select expense receipt here and type in home if you wait there, and that'll take you there as well. So we'll go to the expense receipts homepage. Once you pull the homepage, it too, as most all of our home pages, it's going to pull you 30 days worth of look back down through below this blue bar. And if you want to widen that out, you can click on the show hide, and if you scroll down a little bit to where your dates are, you can make this date, you can back this date up to whatever you wish. There's also a link here as well that will show all of the expense receipts if you want to see that. And you can also change any of the criteria you have. So if you wanted to look for, say, one vendor, you could put a little bit of the vendor name in here, and you might want to use any name. By the way, too, these presets, if you see this preset to business name, that preset is taken care of on the corp-wide settings page. So you can have the preset be preset to any name, but you would put in a little bit of the vendor name and then change your dates and any other options that you want and hit search. Your reports down below, when they pull up, they'll have these links over here on the side. This one is to edit, so if I want to look at this expense receipt number 41, I can click on it. When I click on the edit view, that lights up everything so that I can click on these other edits if I want to be able to make any changes, like to the payment or the bank, or possibly even print the check. This one's set to where it could print a check. And there's always a link where you can go back to your expense receipts homepage. You also have on the expense receipts homepage, you also have an advanced search, and there'll be a tutorial on the advanced search. And you also have a check payment search, which is if you have items set in as a check request, this is where you can search and pull out the items that have not been paid yet to be paid, or you can search checks that have already been written. You have a link here to expense type totals, which is the type that expense is going to fall underneath on the income statement, and that too is underneath another tutorial. You have a link here for reimbursements, so these are getting into more of your payables, reimbursements, your splits or your payables. You also have a link here to be able to reconcile your bank and to view your bank balance. All of these links that are up here are based on permissions. So if you give a user the permissions, they would have these links. If you don't give them the permissions, obviously they're not going to have those links. Those links won't even show up. I want to bring your attention also to, there is a help file on this page. If you click on the help file, there's quite a bit of verbiage on this help file that could possibly answer questions for you. And going back to the home page as well, you'll also see that you have a link here where you can create a new expense receipt. Now, just as a hint, what I usually do to create a new expense receipt is I always come up here and start with vendor and type in a little bit of the vendor here and say go. Because when you click on create new expense receipt, that's what it's asking you here, is you have to select, like, if you want to pay an employee or a customer or vendor, then you can type in here. But the majority of what you'll be paying obviously is going to be vendor, so I usually will start up here and search a vendor. The other thing about the payables homepage is that when you open up the search criteria and you come down to any of these down at the bottom that have been completed, you have over here on the right hand side a history. So we're tracking the history of every one of these expense receipts. So you can see on this one all happened on the same day in chronological order, and it can happen at different times. It can be days, weeks, months, even years apart if need be. And we'll also be showing you who the user was that had completed the different tasks. So it'll show what the expense type was and who, and if it was updated, and this one happens to be tied to a PO, and then also if it was a check request and if the payment was made. This one still doesn't have the check printed, so as you know, once the check's printed, that would come in here along that line. So once again, this was a tutorial on the expense receipts homepage, and I got to that page from the main switchboard homepage. I could type home in here and change this to expense, or I go down under System Liabilities and go to the expense receipt homepage. And once again, thanks for choosing adilas.